we ended up getting the flu, and I was trying to avoid it. I knew it was going around. I was trying to avoid it, and I got it, and I was just getting over it that night. And then my daughter got it, Dallas got it, and it started me into labor. And I was getting a little bit nervous because I had not been able to keep like anything down for 24 hours. I had not been able to drink, so I was dehydrated, and I did not have much in my stomach when I started having contractions 5 minutes apart regularly. So I had to call the midwives, asking them what to do. I was kind of like, I think this is gonna be the day. I don't know what to do. I don't know how I'm gonna go through this. And they were like, kind of like, are you sure? We really don't want to come if you have the flu. We want to be absolutely sure you're in labor. And then they started telling me, like, if Dallas is sick, he can't be in the room. And Dallas was still totally sick on the couch. And he doesn't get sick very often, but he was flat out sick. And so I was like, I'm gonna have to go through this on my own with still getting over the flu. And then they were like, and you might want to consider a hospital birth. And so it was really gonna kind of train wreck the plan that we had for our natural birth. And I was like, okay, I gotta get this labor stopped, because it can't happen today. And so the midwife suggested just resting and just trying to get a lot of fluids into my body. And so we ended up having Grandma and Grandpa come pick up the kids. I had like a pile of laundry because everyone had been sick, and I'd done like 5 loads the day before. I had like another 5 loads waiting because everyone had been sick at night. It was just miserable. So my mom and sister came and helped with some laundry to get that done so I could just rest. And I ended up spending like 2 days on the couch, just like trying to get fluids in and just not getting off the couch to stop. And it took 2 days for the contractions to stop. But I was so thankful when they finally stopped. And then like it was the next day, I woke up and labor had started again. See, this is the thing I'm not sure, because normally I would say I'm in labor, but I've been kind of in and out all week. And so like we had Dallas's parents come and get the kids so I could relax, just to try to get over everything, get healthy. And so it slowly died down over the week, and I had 2 days without any contractions really. I was at the point where I was just like emotionally like, I need to have this baby. I can't keep doing this. And Dallas was at the place where he's like, okay, I'm still getting better. It could happen today, but it might be better if we are a little more rested. And then around supper, they started to settle into a regular rhythm of like 7 minutes apart. And they were starting to get stronger. I'm not a super emotional person, and I just start like getting emotional. And so I just started crying, and I was like, okay, I think it might be it. But then they started up, like I started getting them at 3 this morning, and then they've been just really unpredictable. So she recommended that I hop in a hot bath, because a hot bath, if it's not real labor, will stop your contractions. And if it is real labor and they keep going, then it's like, okay, this might be the real thing. So I hopped in a hot bath, and they still weren't stopping. And so I was kind of in contact with my midwife back and forth. What do we do? 2 hours later, they still were going the same, hadn't picked up, hadn't changed. And so I was still like, I don't know if you should come or not. But the midwife at this point was really like, I think you're actually in labor. It's just a matter of time. And with Trevlin, our last baby, it was a home birth with midwives again. And she came for the day. It wasn't progressing. She went home. Things stopped. I went to bed. And then I woke up and it was like, bam, they started really strong. And she sped down the highway to try to get here, and got here like with 1 or 2 contractions before he was born. Like she barely made it. She basically walked in the door, put her gloves on, and caught the baby, right? And so she's like, I just don't want to do that again. And so they're like, yeah, we're gonna come, we're gonna be there.
So it's about 8:30, just got off a call with the midwives, and midwife is on the way, should be here in about an hour. You're supposed to put an old sheet on the bed over top of a shower curtain. We went to put the sheet on, and it was for a single bed, so I had to go run over to the in-laws. It's one of the benefits of living in a big multi-generational house. You can just go next door real quick and say, hey, do you have another old sheet? Got an old sheet. I think we're ready to go. Hopefully we have a baby by, who knows, maybe by midnight. We'll see.
around 10, labor really started to pick up, and I just all of a sudden I got into this zone where I was like, okay, it's picking up. I'm now definitely in active labor, and he's coming tonight. We dimmed the lights. I put on a playlist of JJ Heller, just a bunch of her baby music. Dallas had made me some tea, and it was just this really relaxing, calm environment for being in labor. And through this time, I was very oh yeah, you have things to say? You say, yeah, it was intense, Mommy, it was intense. And so it was like 2 hours of intense labor. I was just feeling like, man, this labor is just so intense. I'm like, I feel like it's more intense than the other labors, you know. And Dallas afterwards was like, no, that was like the most smoothest labor you've had. It was so good. You did such a good job. And I was like, I feel like it was more intense. Like, I'm like, do I just not remember the other labors? And then my midwife was telling me afterwards, she's like, you do realize your baby came out like face up. So he was turned 180 degrees. They're supposed to be face down. He came out face up. And it was a face presentation, so his face was coming out first. Normally, if they're like that, it's gonna be way more painful, it's gonna take way longer. They normally don't come smoothly. Sometimes there's intervention. And he actually, I think he tucked his chin right beforehand, and so he was able to get into position. And so I realized afterwards, I was kind of like relieved, because I was like, it was more painful. It wasn't just in my head, but he still came really fast. He came smoothly, everything went well. And then I was just able to stay in bed. I love the fact that I didn't have to go anywhere. I could get a good night's sleep, and I just stayed in bed for a few days and healed. And I felt like there was more healing because of being the fourth and because he was turned.
Another benefit of home births is way better breakfast than hospital food. Real toast, drinks that actually taste real, for example, instead of fake coffee.
So that's your story, right? That's your story of how you were born. I have some other videos on natural birth. I have one on pain management. I have one on pros and cons of a home birth. So if those are things that might be interesting to you, that you might be interested in, consider going and looking over on my channel, Jylisa, and check those out. We'll see you in the next video.
Hit the like button, subscribe below. Oh.